Hey there, strangers. It's time for a 2 p.m. PC Twitch stream. I'm your host, Strange Road Jim. Let me make sure my mic is close to my mouth here. And we are going to be getting back into some Pega here. Once I get the window to actually show up here. There we go. Um, Sorry about arriving late here on Twitch. It is currently 2:23. Um, but we're back. So, let me go through the normal routine that I do here on Twitch. If you've seen this on YouTube, you can probably skip ahead a couple minutes or so. Um, for those of you watching on Twitch, um, I am not a Pega instructor. This is not endorsed by Pega at all. I'm not getting sponsored by Pega or anything along those lines. Okay, so just to let you know, I am not an instructor. I'm not doing an instructor-led training or anything along those lines. So don't consider this as such. If you want to get instructor-led training, then I would suggest that you do so. I don't know how much it costs, but I mean that's available if anybody wants it, right? What I am doing is I'm working on getting my system architect certification. I'm working through all the missions, the modules, the challenges, and so on and so forth to reinforce the knowledge that I previously had with Pega to get to a point where I'm comfortable on taking the certification and passing it. Okay, that's the plan. See if I can get there. Um, if you are, if you do, if you're watching this on YouTube, for example, and you do work at Pega or you're a Pega trainer or something along those lines, please go through some of my videos because I have questions that I'm struggling to find the answers to because it feels as though um, maybe I'm reading them wrong, maybe I'm interpreting them wrong, or maybe the wording isn't correct, at all itself, right? So, um, help me out on that. Let me know, um, let me know what's going on there because, I could use a hand on some of the videos that I've already posted. So, um, but I'm working on the system architect certification. So you're welcome to join me in this journey as I go along through this. Um, uh, Also, you know, this is also very helpful for the business analyst certification as well. There's only two modules that are separate from the system architect. System architect goes into a long list of additional topics, but business analyst only has after the first two missions, only like two modules after that, and that's it. So if you want to get the business analyst certification, then you can also follow along. Okay, I'll let you know when we get to the point where we're studying topics that are not covered by the business analyst. But so far we are, so you can also follow along with me. Okay, this is not the senior system architect. This is not the lead, um, team lead, system architect, certification study, or anything along those lines. I haven't gotten into those. So um, this is just purely for my benefit, you know, in trying to get that certification. But I'm recording it and talking about it so others can also, hopefully get some um, some insight on that. Okay. Maybe you can get, some, uh, you can understand, what's being covered, and also, attempt the certification yourself. Now, um, I do recommend that you go through these missions yourself on your own time as well. Take the quizzes. Don't let me take it because, or, don't just, say, oh, yeah, I learned exactly just what you told me. Take the quizzes yourself so that you are comfortable, with the questions and the answers and because they will throw curveballs at you um, concerning it. So throw curveballs at you on the certification. So, okay, um, that's enough talk. Let's get into the data relationships and finish this off. So, data relationships, relationships between data objects. Makes sense. A data object is a template for describing an entity through fields, such as name and address. Okay. They need to kind of specify it, such as fields, name and address, or something like that. Um, you know, because you know, name and address could be implied of data object there, but whatever. A data relationship is a container in which you associate a set of related fields. You can use data relationships to create relationships between data objects and also between cases. A data relationship does not store data itself, but instead relates data. Makes sense. For example, when customers sign up for a video streaming account, such as Twitch, they provide basic information such as first name, last name, and email. Right? The value provided in the email field must be associated with the customer's first and last name because that email belongs to the customer. Again, makes sense. The system can capture the three associated values in a customer data relationship. Hmm. Um, but isn't that just a data object, though? The system can capture the three associated values in a customer data relationship. It's like data relationship doesn't store data though. So I don't know, this paragraph here is a little off, I think. Hmm. All right, moving on. And the customer data relationship example, the data relationship establishes a common context for the first name, last name, and email fields. These fields all contain data that describe a customer, as shown in the following image. First name, last name, email. All right. Uh, but wait, hold on. In the customer data relationship example, the data relationship establishes a common context for the first name, last name, and email fields. These fields all contain data that describe a customer, as shown in the following image. Uh, hmm. I'm thinking that they're being very nuanced on their language here again. Because customer is a data object. So, and a data relationship does not store information. So what's going on here? what are they stating here? Establishes common context for the first name, last name, and email fields. Like what? That they're all part of the customer data object? What common context are you referring to there, Pega? What's going on here? These fields all contain data that describe a customer. Is that it? Is that the common context? Is the fact that all these data is describe a customer? I mean, you're already getting that from saying, hey, these all these fields belong in the customer object. So why would you even bother trying to say this is all part of a data relationship? Now, if someone was to say, hey, this field is using the customer email um, address, I could see the linking of that information. Like, hey, you're displaying a field that shows the customer's email address, right? So there is a data relationship between that field displaying the email and the customer object. That I can understand. That to me sounds like more of a relationship style connection, right? What they're doing right here is it feels like they're just kind of once again repeating the customer object, and it's like how does that show the a data relationship? You know, I already know that all three of these are part of the customer object because their fields are part of it. There's nothing, there's what are you trying to establish here in terms of data relationship? That makes no sense. You know, I mean, I guess it is in a small fashion in the sense that, hey, um, the um, the email belongs to this person, so there is a small relationship there, I guess you might say. But it's like, hmm, I don't know. I feel like there's something off about those last two paragraphs there. Again, not 100% sure, so I don't know, but um, just I don't know. Something feels off about that. Data relationships with multiple records. You can configure data relationships to reference a single record or multiple records. The difference is that a multiple record data relationship references a list of grouped values. A single record data relationship references only a single set of values. The customer data relationship example in the previous section demonstrates a single record data relationship. Okay. Consider a video streaming company that runs marketing campaigns by using customer information collected when users sign up for an account. The campaign case type uses a current customer's multiple record data relationship. The current customer's data relationship includes records for each customer. In the center of the following image, slide the vertical line to view the customer data with multiple records on the left and the system configuration on the right. Okay, so um, so hmm, you have the data relationships, which I mean it's not really showing all that much. I mean you have the customers, each one, first name, last name, and email for multiple of them, and apparently that's the multiple records that they're referencing there. And then you have current customers data relationship list. It's using the customer object, and obviously the fields that you want to reference from said customer. Now, you could remove some of these fields if you just want to display, like, say, hey, just their first name and email, or just their last name and email, or something along those lines. You could definitely try to do that if you want to. You don't have to show all the fields for the customer, but um, but here's my thought line right at this moment. Right at this moment, didn't we already have something kind of describing this already? You know, didn't we already have some keywords kind of describing like, multiple records being displayed? Why are we, you know, what what does data relationships really has to do with that? I guess I'm getting a little confused again about certain keywords that Pega uses, and that that can lead to problems, obviously, because um, if they throw certain keywords in the certification exam and they basically say, okay, this particular keyword does this, and you're suddenly going, wait, hold on, you know, was it this or that? But they could be doing the exact same thing. So that, you might, if there's like one difference in wording, then, you have the potential of missing that question, and that's what freaks me out about the Pega certification is the fact that um, they throw those questions at you on the certification exam, and if you miss that one key word, then you can interpret the question going in a different way, and therefore you you might you might miss it. And if you mess up on a single answer on the certification, that's wrong, and you know um, and it really hurts your chances on passing the certification exam. I mean, believe me, I know I missed the minimum by 6 questions. I get it. But I'm really feeling like what they're showing here has another keyword to it. Um, I think it was like data records, wasn't it? Oh, okay. We're moving on. Checking knowledge with the following interaction. Drag and drop each use case on the right to the Dropbox of the most appropriate data relationship type, single record or multiple record. Okay. Enter primary driver on an insurance form. Okay. I'm assuming hotel names, rating, and price per night. It's multiple, so um, job applicants' work history is probably multiple. Um, but I think each one of these, primary driver for on an insurance form, scheduling information for each candidate, and vehicle information for an insurance claim could be single record. Um, although for each candidate could be multiple too. Hmm, yeah. Uh, there we go. So that my first attempt there, if I did that on the certification exam, well, You get a wrong answer. There's no retry. There's no check or anything along those lines. I would have gotten that wrong. And there's no like partial credit or anything along those lines. So I would have gotten that wrong. And I can't have that. If I want that certification, I gotta make sure that I hit that every single time. So, okay. Data and data relationships. A case type or data object defines the data model for a data relationship. Wait, what? All right, wait. Hold on. You can create a data relationship either by creating a new data object or by using an existing data object or case type. Okay. In the following resident submissions multiple data record relationship example, the person data object defines the data model for the data relationship. What the heck? What is their wording going on here? Okay, maybe I don't know. I'm having a hard time trying to process what they're linking all these, and it feels like it's kind of going in a circular motion, and it's basically describing the exact same thing. So it doesn't really make that much sense to me in a sense, because it feels like they're just saying, "Oh yeah, this does this," but you just said that this other thing did that exact same thing that you're mentioning. Oh, but it also does. It's like, are you are you changing the keywords using the same kind of definitions, but they're basically doing the exact same thing? That's I don't know. I guess I'm just having a hard time trying to connect, you know, what is a data object? What is a data record? What is a data model? What is a data relationship? How are these connected? How are they different from each other? Because I'm seeing it feels like a lot of them are like really overlapping. By a lot in some cases. So it's making me really wonder where, there has to be a cutoff between these keywords. There has to be. Otherwise, you're confusing you're confusing people that are reading this. You're making the language very uh, confusing, you know. Um, you know, for for example, just as a brief example, okay? Um, take English, okay? Just straight up English, okay? If you go to any other country, okay, and you start saying some words that you pronounce the same but have different meanings, someone's going to be like, wait, what are you talking about? Um, you know, Such as there, and there, right? you know, someone's going to be like, you know, I know what I'm talking about. You know, anybody that knows the English language, as their native language, you probably know exactly what I meant but when I said that. But if you go to any other country and say, there, they're gonna be like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? What's going on? you know. Um. So that's what I'm kind of feeling like on this. They're 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 kind of using the same, and well, I mean not necessarily the same word. They're um, obviously each one is different keywords, right? And they obviously mean different things to them. But right now I'm kind of confused about the punctu, the 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 pronunciation kind of thing, you might say. Okay, I'm not quite sure what the nuances are between these. If if I'm explaining myself well enough. So if anybody's watching this right now, you can kind of understand where I'm getting tripped up here. So, case type or data object defines the data model for the data relationship. I thought data model was more, um, that I thought data model was more of a like an like a overlook of everything kind of going on um, with like all your data model, right? All your data, you know, that you are using for your application that kind of gets put into a data model. That's or at least maybe I'm interpreting that wrong. Again, I was struggling with the data model topic before, so you know, I could be completely wrong on that. Okay, so again, I'm not an instructor. I don't know. Um, but typically, when you think of model, you're thinking, you have more of a um, an overview of what's going on for the most part, right? So having a data object defines the data model. I don't. That seems odd. That seems like a very that statement right there seems off to me for some reason. Again, I don't know. Um, because I don't think you know, I would think that there wouldn't necessarily be any kind of defining going on. The data model would be containing data objects, maybe, and then you can establish data relationships between those data objects. But how does a data object define a data model? That that I don't know. You can create a data relationship either by creating a new data object or by using existing data object or case type. You can create a data relationship to what? A relationship to your case type? Either by creating a new data object, sure, understandable, or by using an existing data object or case type. Again, a data relationship to what? Because you're saying case type here. I'm assuming you can create a data relationship to your application. That's the only thing that I can think of here. Um, because if you're saying case type, then that's um, you have you're dealing with I mean your application has like multiple different case types. and the like. Um, so if you're defining a case type that can use your data objects, then data relationship is like on a higher, like on a different plane of existence, like above the case type kind of thing. So that's why I'm looking at this and going, what's going on here? Um, in the following resident submissions, and uh, multiple record data relationship example, the person data object defines the data model for the data relationship. Again, this right here just does not make any sense to me. Maybe I don't know. I'm missing something here. I'm missing that. I'm missing that like connection between them. I mean, if someone's with me right now and you understand what they're trying to go, you know, that they're trying to say, please let me know in the comment section. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment. Let me know what they're trying to go for here, because I'm missing something. I'm not getting it, and that's what worries me because obviously, Pega, uses a lot of data objects, you know, establishes data models, data relationships, and the like. So, uh, I'm I'm causing myself difficulties by not fully understanding what they're trying to go for on this. So I would really love some clarity on it. Some way of like rewording it, maybe. Um, because it just, I don't know, either something's not clicking or they're just not phrasing it correctly, or I don't know. I don't know where the disconnect is right now because it just feels off, you know. Each data relationship does not have to use all the defined fields, but they are all available. Okay, true. I just mentioned that. Or not just, but I mentioned that before. For example, you can use a customer data relationship. Shouldn't this be data object? Stop calling it data relationship. Call it a data object. What's going on here? What? Okay. To capture customer information for users, including first name, last name, email, username, and password. You can use the same customer data relationship to display information on the confirmation page. Because the user needs to confirm only the full name and email, the username and password are not displayed. Okay. The fields remain part of the customer data object and are referenceable in another view. What's going on here? What is the difference between customer data relationship and a customer data object? What's the difference? I just can't see it. I don't know where, what are they, they're basically saying the exact same thing, but there's a nuance there that I'm not catching. Okay. Maybe it's this way. Okay. Please please correct me if I'm wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But okay, so it appears, okay, that a customer data object, such as what we had up here, first name, last name, and email, okay, that would be a customer data object, right? It contains all these established fields inside of it, so therefore it is a data object, okay? It contains everything in there, okay? Um, and based off of what I'm reading down here, it's looking like they're saying that a customer data relationship is only using parts of the customer data object. So they're basically saying, okay, you can use the customer data object, and that uses everything, that the data object has, all the fields and so on, all the relationships contained in there. Or you can use the customer data relationship in that it's only showing parts of the data object. So it's like not necessarily a Venn diagram, but it kind of is. So basically, you look at the full circle of a um, of the value. Here, let me see if I can maybe explain um, Venn diagram maker. I'll have to cut that out on YouTube. Here, hold on. Let me go to the webcam. Okay. Obviously I'm way behind on my Pega, so I want to get through this topic, but I'm going through I haven't even gotten anywhere near the end, so this is going to be a long video there, folks. So, or this has the potential of going into a very long video. Okay, I don't necessarily want to sign up for a free. I don't necessarily want to sign up for an account. I just want to generate the Venn diagram here. All right. Actually, hold on. Okay. Kind of hard to. No, I'm having a hard time trying to get a. Really wish I could modify this to kind of how I want to do like a um like one Venn diagram like inside the other kind of thing. But I'm only getting like, diagram makers that will only show, um, the standard, you know, um, no, 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 no. Gosh, damn it. Okay. Um, okay, let's see. Data object, data relationship. Okay. Let's see. Hmm. Okay, it's not really showing that well, but I mean it kind of gets the point across here. Let me go back to it. So here's how I'm kind of seeing it a little bit. Okay, so you have, so you have like the customer data object, right? You know, and the data object contains, um, first name, last name, email, phone number, what have you, or first name, last name, email, so on and so forth, right? Um, Based off of what I'm reading here, okay, in this paragraph, it's looking as though, a data relationship, you know, um, is something that contains part of the customer data object, but not all of it. Like, it will only contain like the first name and email address. So it might be missing out on, let's say, the last name. Okay, might not have that. You know, this is what I'm currently interpreting it as at this point. Okay, so maybe that's the possibility of what my confusion is. Like, that's why they're kind of interchanging data relationships and data objects, often because data relationships are, kind of parts of the data object. Again, I don't know. Okay, this is all I know. I'm just kind of speculating right at this moment in time. Um, based off of what they are, um, based off of what they're kind of trying to show. Okay, so um, it's not, it's not a, um, I don't know if this is a good description of what I'm reading. Okay, it might be completely incorrect there, folks. Okay, please be aware. Okay, this might be a completely incorrect um, view of how I'm trying to interpret this right at this point in time. Okay, I would love to have someone from that knows more than I do. You know, that has certifications, or you're a Pega trainer, or you're from Pega itself, to try to explain this for me, because I'm looking at this and like, where's the connection? What am I missing here? So, a data relationship with multiple records serves as a template for each grouped field instance. In a multiple record data relationship, each value follows the field type configuration settings. For example, you want to collect the job applicant's references in a multiple record data relationship that includes the reference's full name, company, contact number, and email. You can configure the full name and contact number fields as required values, so each new field under the full name and contact number columns has the same settings. In the following image, the applicant receives an error message when they do not enter the contact number for Sean Mills. Hmm. Okay, so based off of what I, looked at prior, when I looked at this, and previously, okay, this next paragraph doesn't necessarily void out what I just said, right? There isn't any kind of like multiple confusion, or there's no like additional confusion so far based off of what I'm reading here. So basically, you know, you have, like, not necessarily customer per se, because I mean your customer data object would have to have a lot more fields, if it included, full name, company, contact number, and contact address. Oh, but I mean, it might, it might have these in the customer, and therefore, using part of the customer data object. And, they're showing multiple records, multiple rows, of data. Okay, and they're showing that, hey, um, you can have um, a, field type configuration setting, so that you have fields that are required. So if they don't fill in that field, then you get an error, saying, hey, you need to fill this in, or you can't move on, right? So so that's fine. It still kind of fits with what we're currently talking about already, with data relationships and customer data objects. Okay, it still works. Again, if they're not necessarily using a lot of the same kind of repeat terms. So this is, or they're not, um, they would do themselves some justice here by using like a single data object, okay? Something that they established, right up here at the very beginning, something that shows like all the fields in the data object. And then they kind of reference that data object multiple times through their examples here to show, like, how the data relationship kind of works with the data object. Because from what we can see here, they're using like three different data objects here. They're using the customer data object, they're using the person data object, and they're using some object that they didn't even specify. So, um, so Pega should really do this do themselves a favor and try to make a consistent data object so it's not as confusing. Um, but we move on. You can also configure a multiple record data relationship to allow end users to add, delete, and update items as needed. Okay. For example, the references data relationship is displayed as a table of three groups or rows of related values. An applicant can add a fourth reference to the list by clicking Add Item. Okay, so this is references that they're referring to in this example up there, and um, how does this um, what they're saying references data relationship. Um, is there a connection between the references and customer? You know, um, so like in my Venn diagram that I showed earlier, right? Where I was talking about how um, you had the customer data object, being like the full circle with all the fields, and you had the customer data relationship like in the center that has like a couple of fields, but not all the fields of the customer data relationship. Again, I don't know if that's true or not. Okay, bear that in mind. I don't know. Okay. Um, is the reference data relationship, in a sense, another version of that customer data relationship, in the sense that, you have the customer data object, but inside your customer data object, you have that references data relationship that has, all the fields, you know, still contained within the customer data object, but, it doesn't have like all the fields, right? Or maybe they come, because references has the full name, right? It doesn't have the first name and last name, right? So maybe they changed it a little bit so they combine the first and last name into a new field called full name, and they had, company contact number and, well, they had email above here anyway, but um, maybe they renamed it for contact email, whatever, right? Um, you know, the is that what's going on here? Is that what I'm seeing? Correct me if I'm wrong. Please. Data object can contain other data objects. Similarly, a data relationship can contain other data relationships. Data object can contain other data objects. That's true. Similarly, a data relationship can contain other data relationships. Okay, I can see that. I can see that. Um, Again, if I'm using the Venn diagram correctly, but again, bear in mind, I don't know if that's right. But um, I could see that as a possibility. Like you can have, you know, um, like, you can have the customer data object with all these fields, first name, last name, company contact number, number, email, so on and so forth. You have a smaller one for, a customer data relationship. You have the references data relationship, and you might have something even smaller inside there, like hey, we're having a um, we're having a data relationship that just is all about the company, right? It's all about just this particular company. You could do that too. You know, I'm just I'm saying that based off of my little Venn diagram, it's not wrong, not yet. But again, I don't know. I could be going in a completely wrong direction. Please correct me if I'm wrong. For example, in an online shopping application, customers can have multiple credit cards associated with an account. Okay. The customer entity is a single record data relationship in the application. Okay. The credit cards entity is a multiple record data relationship. Okay. Each entity has a relationship with the respective data object. And would that data object be customer data object and credit card data object? Is that what I'm seeing there? Hmm. I'm getting a little bit of vibes on data relationships in the sense that, I believe I forget exactly when it was, like maybe a day or two ago. I talked about how um, data object is just the object with all the fields, but no actual data inside of them. Um, and then, I think it was what, the data records I was talking about that actually had the legit information in there. That, like, Stephanie Andrews, is correct, is, um, a filled in value that it can kind of reference. Again, not 100% sure on that. So, um, I'm kind of getting that vibe from the data relationship. Again, I don't know why, because I mean it feels as though they've already covered that too. So I'm not 100% sure on this. So, bear that in mind. In the following image, the customer entity captures and associates the customer's full name, username, password, and credit cards to the reference data object. Within the customer entity, the credit cards entity captures and associates the card number, expiration date, and verification code to the reference data object. The following image, the customer entity captures and associates the customer's full name, username, password, and credit cards to the reference data object. The data object being the customer. Why are they calling it entity all of a sudden? Within the customer entity, the credit cards entity captures and associates the card number, expiration date, and verification code to the reference data object. Each customer can store multiple credit cards on the account, adding, deleting, and updating card information as needed. Hmm. what, why are they using entity all of a sudden? They're bringing entity into this, and it's like, you've never referenced entity before. What's going on here? Um, is them using entity, the same thing as them saying, data relationship? Is that what I'm reading here? Or is entity something completely different altogether? Because it's not a data object, or they would reference it as a data object. So, are they saying that it's a data relationship? Again, I don't know. This, these paragraphs are a little off. They're kind of throwing me off a little bit. Field types and data object location. Because there are many different use cases for data relationships, there are several field types to support different configurations. Consider where the data object is sourced when determining what field type to use. If the data object does not need to be sourced from outside of the case, such as shipping address, use an embedded data field type. If the data object needs to be sourced outside of the case, there is a specialized field types to account for several use cases, including query and reference. The table below describes each data relationship field type and its associated data source. Data relationship field type, embedded data. User supplied data such as name and address sourced from inside a case type. A company needs to capture shipping addresses. Query, a data page or view that is not sourced from inside the case type. Data page defines parameters that the query data relationship is configured to use. An application needs to update the current weather. Case reference, single or multiple records from a selected case type. User selects from a list of service cases from the service case type. Data reference, single or multiple records from a selected data page. User selects from a list of products to order. Okay. Use an embedded data field when data is sourced from a user interaction that is made inside a case type, such as entering a name or address. The information is embedded in the case and is not referenced independently of the case. For example, Pega platform provides excuse me. For example, Pega platform provides an out-of-box data object for postal addresses, data address postal. Instead of defining all the address fields that make up an address in a case type to capture address information, a user can build an embedded field of the data object type postal address, allowing the user to reuse an already defined data structure. Hmm. Use cases for embedded data include any circumstance in which a user provides data during the case, like a name or address. Consider a service request case where a customer would provide a brief description of an issue so that a service provider can be dispatched. The issue description is not sourced from a data page, but is instead provided by the customer. Okay. Still not close to done. And I'm already going past my hour of length on this. Sorry for the long video for those watching on YouTube. For those of you that are watching me on Twitch, normally I would be in, setting up videos and the like for um, tomorrow's Pega video release and any additional videos, but um, I'm trying to make heads or tails of this particular topic. So, case processing often requires access to data sourced from other applications or systems. In Pega platform applications, a data page retrieves data from a specified data source and caches that data in memory. Okay. A query field type is used to define a field that the system can use to consistently access data sourced outside of the case. A query field references a data page that defines the source of your data. This is true in either multiple or single record configurations. Okay, so you're providing the field service name or service provider name for the field name. Your type is query. You're looking in a single record. The data page is service provider, and you're looking for the field of name within that data page, according to what we're seeing there. Consider the case reference and data reference field types as specialized versions of the query field type, used to define a selectable item or list of explicitly referenced items by their identifier key. The user selects parameters for reference field types through the UI. Reference field types are used to show a user a list of options they can choose from. Users can choose from one option in a single record type, choose a primary account holder, or many options in multiple record type, choose products to order. Most use cases for searchable data pages use a reference field type, but could also use the query field type. As part of the case type that manages appointments at a veterinary clinic, clients can review past appointments by selecting from a list of appointment cases. What field type do you configure for this behavior? Hmm. I would imagine case reference. It's kind of it feels like I'm looking at this section right here for this particular question. Um, and the fact that it's talking about, as part of a case type, clients can review past appointments by selecting from a list of appointed cases. So it's not necessarily looking up specific pieces of data, it's looking up, you know, like full cases. So a case reference. That's what I'm interpreting from this right at this moment in time. Let's check the answer. Okay, that was correct. That was a little concerning there. Um, what I want to do in this is we have a couple, um, we already, got a wrong answer here, and they didn't necessarily explain, the errors that were shown in here. But what we can do is we can go down to this question down here, and we can get the wrong answer and see what they state for the wrong answer. A data reference field type references single or multiple records for a selected data page, such as a list of items to purchase. So, because it doesn't really state that up here at all. What a case reference and data reference really are up here. So the fact that they're kind of explaining it down here is great, but they really should kind of try to explain more about what case reference and data reference are up here, instead of them having to explain it down here. Okay, why explain it in a quiz, in a quiz question that, if a person gets the question right, they might miss out on some important information. So, all right, let's do lookup. A lookup is not a field type. Okay. Um, well, here's a question. What is lookup? Do you reference that at anywhere on the page? No, you do not. To be honest, I don't even know if they've even talked about lookups at this point. So, um, I haven't seen any. I don't believe we've covered lookups at all yet. I don't remember. I don't think we have. So, um, so this is kind of unfortunate that they're putting an answer in there and they're not really addressing, you know, what it's all about, or like, hey, this will be covered in chapter so and so or module so and so kind of thing. Look here for more information or something, you know, saying we have not covered lookup yet. Please see, you'll be seeing this in module such and such, or something like that. You know, that's what I would do. You know, if I was, if I was working on this particular module or all this. So, and then of course we have the embedded data. The embedded data field type references data supplied by the user, such as name or address. Okay. I mean, technically, you could still kind of try to get away with this a little bit if you really wanted to, because I mean, a lot of the appointment cases are still, will still kind of contain data by the user, supplied by the user. But I get it. I get it. They want to use more case reference on that. So yeah. Okay. That's it for this particular topic. Um, I I struggled at this one again. Um, I'm having some difficulty getting an idea, getting a solid footing as to what, where they're, um, what the differences are, between, you know, a data object, a data model, a data relationship, a data page, um, you know, um, data records. I mean, data. Okay, where is the line? What's the cutoffs between these? Because you're not. It doesn't feel like they're really explaining that very well, at least to me. Okay, I'm missing something here. I'm missing, you know, because again, it feels like a lot of this is kind of repeating information a little bit, and I'm not quite sure where, um, what exactly is, separating out these, those values or that information, those keywords, how's a data relationship different from a data object? How's a data model separate from a data relationship? Um, you know, um, how's a data model and data records different from each other? That kind of thing. I kind of need a little bit more context in that because, like I said, I'm not necessarily understanding it yet. There's some kind of disconnect here for me. I'm getting a lot of geometry vibes in this. you know, as I mentioned before, I struggled with geometry at the very beginning. I had to get a tutor to kind of explain what I was not fully understanding. Um, so um, so yeah, there's something going on there that I'm not catching right at this moment in time. I hope that I've explained how I'm looking at it so you guys can, if anybody's watching this right now and you understand like maybe where my disconnect is and that you can kind of explain it in a different way so that I can understand, what am I missing here? What's going on? I would love some clarity on this. I, on you know, in some ways, I would really love to just, suggest an edit and say, guys, I'm not really understanding this very well. Please look at my video. But I don't know. I don't know if I can really do that either. I don't necessarily want to bug the creator of this page, you know, about what they mean either, because then they might just come at me and say, well, go, get some instructor-led training, blah blah blah. Okay. Um, and they'll explain it, but I don't know. Maybe it's just, something that um, I'm just gonna have to try to figure out. So, um, ideally, they should have this arranged and described well enough that, um, sure, they're not covering everything, but they're covering it well enough so there isn't any confusion. So, and right now I have confusion. So yeah. All right. I think that's where we're gonna go ahead and cut it off. I mean, I got about 20 minutes before I normally do my Warframe gameplay, so we're gonna go ahead and close on down on our Pega video here. Um, if you're watching me right now, feel free to, um, if you're watching me right now on Twitch, stick with me. Still got a little bit more to go on publishing videos and then we'll go on to Warframe. If you're watching this on YouTube, I would really appreciate, if you're watching this and you appreciate what I'm doing, do the normal, YouTube stuff of like, comment, subscribe, bell notification, so on and so forth. Um, that would greatly help out. Um, you know, If you can answer some of my questions, if you can try to provide clarity as to I'm what I'm doing, what I'm going through, I would love to help. Um, I would love to have some amount of insight as to what I'm missing on that. So, um, so if you can provide that insight, then not only would you be helping me, and you know, and you know, if you're helping me, then I wouldn't necessarily be going off on random tangents that could be confusing others. Okay, that's the reason why I try to warn people that this is not an instructor-led training. Okay, um, because I know that obviously I'm missing some valuable information here that you know I'm not getting, and I'm worried that my confusion might add to another person's confusion later. Okay, so if you're watching this on YouTube, please write a comment or something like that. Timestamp it. You know, and say, okay, at this point, you need to look at it this way. Okay, this is how this is what they mean. This is how they go about doing it. So you need to look at it, you know, in this view, and I'll reply back to you because I might say, hey, this helped me out a lot. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Um, that I can now go on and talk about the other topics without any confusion. Um, um, that would be welcome. Um, or you know, the um, or if you know anyone that um, you know needs wants to get learn Pega themselves, share it with them or something along those lines. Okay. Um, but yeah, that's gonna be it for Pega. We're gonna go ahead and switch on over to just chatting for 15 minutes, really. Um, so not going to be that long of posting videos right at this moment in time, um, but I do need to post some extra ones. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut the video down. So stopping recording right now.